Okay, so I was messing around with Excel a little bit, and I want to share with you guys one more thing that's an alternative to the this graph we made here. Um, both graphs kind of do the same thing, just in different ways. This is a graph where we made our own little buckets out of this thing here. Okay, I don't know why I messed with that. But this is our own little graph here. I need to mess around the axes there that we made that has the like distribution of our data sets and kind of that distribution there showing where each count is. There is another way to do that, though it does have some limits. The main benefit of this type of a graph is that we can display both our x and y, or our two variables, both on the same chart. But another way to do this is a histogram. So how you're going to do that is very similar to making a graph, is you'll highlight the data you want, all your data, just the raw stuff. Go to Insert, and then this button here is a histogram. And this will insert a histogram. It seems by default, a histogram will have 3 bins, but which is not ideal. What you can do is you click here and click Format Axis. You can either modify the width and say how big you want each bin to be, or you can just do number bins. For example, if I change this from 3 to 10, enter. Right now I have 10 boxes and I get a little bit more of a distribution. Not sure how far you can push it, like if I do 100. Yeah, maybe don't go too high because then you start getting weird little blank areas. Right, this helps you a little bit see kind of right. It mirrors this distribution here, right? There's the boxes are different. But example, if we put this in, let's say 4 bins, is what we just look around the same. The only drawback of the histogram over this bar graph that we made is that on this histogram, you can't display both things at once. So if you try to select your data and add a new data set, our values being all these, right? Even though it's in my there, it's not won't be displayed on the graph. If we add a legend, right, it's just series 1. So this is up to you to decide which one you'd like to use. If you'd rather have one graph where you can see both and then kind of talk about a comparison and have your own graphs that you made, or if you want to have just Excel do it and probably have 2 to 5 graphs instead. Both of them will get into a discussion of skewness, which I'll post an article on, I promise. So I guess I can talk about it real briefly. Skew just determines the mean and median compared. It's just a general tendency of which way your data goes. It's important to have, mainly because it lets you know, one, if you need to use the median instead of the mean for your measure of central tendency. That's only really applicable if your skew is above 1. Also mean that you need to know if you need to do some sort of transformation to your data, for example, taking like the square root. Again, that's only really necessary if your skew is really high, like above 1. And even then, that's probably not necessary. Generally, the skew just represents where the mean and median are in relationship to each other. In a normal distribution, they would be the same, but as they start to deviate from each other, because in these cases, the median is higher than the mean, right? That represents a negative skew because the mean is lower, so it's negative. For the most part, from what I've seen, no one either needs to worry about this, but technically, if your skew is like higher than 10 or so, you wouldn't be able, you'd have to maybe look at using something other than a t-test or a correlation coefficient. But for the most part, is just a check to show which way your data goes, and also a check to basically say, hey, based on my skew, I'm okay to use the mean for my measure of central tendency and to do my either t-test or r-test. So just wanted to do a quick video on that, both to show off histogram and talk a little bit about skew, and I will post an article as well. So now I have to go awkwardly pause the video. And